Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 52 today for the Italian Grand Prix in Season 3. If you guys did miss the previous episode at the Belgium Grand Prix, uploaded a couple of days ago, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, because that may be the defining moment of the entire season, no word of a lie. So definitely check it out if you haven't, because the start of that race, well, it was quite something. Daniel Ricciardo is AI, emulating Daniel Ricciardo in real life with a massive dive bomb at turn 1 that proved very, very costly for myself, and surprisingly not so much for Lando Norris, his teammate, even though he did actually crash into Lando whilst doing that. Spoiler alert, he went on to win that Grand Prix, and we had to come back from that front wing damage and make up the places, and we could only find a couple of points versus Lando Norris's 25 points in the bag, and it means he is a massive margin ahead of us now in the Drivers' World Championship. It also closes up the constructors quite a fair bit, because McLaren and Ferrari had some decent races there. We struggled for pace overall, because even Schumacher, who was, it didn't have any issues in the race, he struggled to really find any footing towards the podium. At one point was in between two AlphaTauris and had to finally overtake Gasly to get through. So that was a bit of a worry. I'm hoping that the Italian Grand Prix, again, a circuit where you need good straight line speed, I'm hoping that we won't have the same lack of pace around Italy, because we do need to bounce back. We need a big result here in Italy to try and claw back some points. We're now very much into the last third of the season, so every point's crucial. This may be the toughest comeback sort of challenge I've ever done in a career mode series, in terms of that's a lot of points, and Lando Norris has been so consistent this season. Some breaking news just before we load into the actual race weekend. We've got an email retirement announcement from Fernando Alonso. It's finally happened. He is retiring for a second time now, and this time it is going to be for good in this game, alternative career mode universe we've created on this in this series. Fernando Alonso, obviously at Red Bull at the moment, obviously started at Alpine, then obviously we signed Perez in Season 2. Fernando jumped ship from Alpine, went to Red Bull, and it just hasn't clicked. He's had 5 DNFs this season, so I can't blame him for falling out of love with the sport this season, and so he's going to hang up his boots. I'm hoping, he's had that one podium 2 episodes ago. I'm hoping he has a couple of better races to kind of end off his career. Obviously, Sebastian Vettel retired last season. He ended off on not such an amazing high, but he did end off fighting for a world championship at least, whereas Fernando Alonso, it's been a very dismal spell at Red Bull Racing alongside Max Verstappen. So, but that's a big name. That's a big name. Alonso out of this career mode now from Season 4. Now that's a big hole to fill at Red Bull. Whether that just gets filled in straight away by the default Sergio Perez, who's a free agent, I don't know. Maybe quite likely. We're going to have to find out at the end of the season. But right now we turn our attention to the race weekend ahead, and we have some, very worn out engine parts that are going to definitely get to the end of their lives if we use them in this Grand Prix. I wanted to maybe take a penalty for this race, for this episode, but then I looked at the weather forecast, and oh my word, we have a lot of rain, precipitation on the way. I've never even seen that symbol. I've called wet weather, the heavy rain, monsoon rain before, but this is actual monsoon weather. Like, this is actually in the game coded lightning, monsoon, the most rain we're going to see in the game. It's here. It's coming for Sunday at the Italian Grand Prix. So I'm not going to take the engine penalties this episode. It will mean our engine is a little worn, especially the internal combustion engine, but because it's a wet race, my logic is it won't affect us as much as it usually would around Monza. And next episode is Singapore. I go quite well around Singapore. I actually really enjoy it on the last couple of F1 games, so I'm quite confident in my own ability to come back through the order from the kind of towards the back of the grid if we take the engine penalties there at Singapore. And I'd rather do that, because the thought of starting the back in a full wet race, monsoon weather race at Monza, I just don't fancy that whatsoever. And the car has really good pace, so I think we need to use the opportunity to try and punch back at Lando Norris and get some points over him, because P1 in Q1, I never do this in Q1, but we were fast from the get-go. Schumacher P5 as well. Things are looking interesting though. You've got Ocon right there, Sonoda as well. Monza, it's a very unique circuit, like Monaco Monaco, but in kind of the reverse sense of, it's, the car makes such a difference, and sometimes just a good slipstream can make the difference. And I got one there in Q1. You would have seen I got the slipstream off the Aston Martin, I think it was. And even though Gasly held me up here in Sector 1, we got a good slipstream off him there in Sector 1. Sector 3, though, my DRS failed. So I had no DRS down the back straight towards Ascari. So I don't know what the lap time's going to be. Like, let's just have a gander. But the first sector was pretty good, even though, like I said, we got held up. But the slipstream is so powerful. Like, I was, I think, 6/10 ahead in Q1, and that was due to the slipstream. This time round, didn't get much of one compared to Q1, but it's still going to be enough to get through into Q2 on that one flying lap. I was tempted to go out again, but I saw we were just going to have enough there. The McLarens only narrowly come through there, so they're very lucky. Alonso knocked out on the same race weekend. He announces the retirement, and Ocon, after looking so good in Q1, is out, with Russell being the Alpine up into the top 10 shootout, with Yuki Tsunoda again, Mr. Consistent, P4 there into the top 5 again. So Yuki is absolutely on it in the AlphaTauri there. Very nice to see, actually. We haven't seen too much of Tsunoda in the series so far in terms of him getting stuck in the action and racing and whatnot. So it'll be cool to see him in the top 10 for sure. But Ferrari are coming back a little bit, with Leclerc looking good there with the fastest of all in the second part of qualifying. But now here we go into the top 10 shootout. This is where it all matters. This is where pole position is going to get decided for the Italian Grand Prix. That very wet, soaking Italian Grand Prix to come up on Sunday. Let's see, the first run, a little bit too cautious through this sector there, and a bit of understeer as a result of that through Ascari. I think I could have ridden the curb a little bit more like a skateboard or the inside, as I've likened it to in the past, and just taken a little bit more, aggression with it. So maybe underdriving the car a little, and no slipstream here. Literally no one was around me. It was very lonely, and it's going to be enough to get P5, 7,000 off pole position at the moment, which goes to Mick Schumacher, our teammate. Schumacher is on it. My engineer told me across the line he is on provisional pole. We go for the second flyer. Only, I think, 4 other people are out with me. The top 5 have opted not to go again. We've gone, but we've gone too late. Look at the top right. We've timed this so poorly, just mismanagement, and we've had a howler, and we can't go again. And I think Lando is ahead of us on the grid, so that is a really horrendous end to the top 10 shootout, because we had the pace for pole position, we had the pace for the front row. Mick Schumacher nearly 2.5 tenths ahead of Leclerc, one of the home favourites, of course, in the Ferrari with the Scuderia. There's a Fosi there with Sainz on the second row alongside Lando Norris, our championship rival. So we're gonna be able to see Lando ahead of us on the row ahead at the start of this Grand Prix, but our teammate is the one on pole position. Actually, I'm saying that we probably won't see much of the cars ahead of us though, because the spray is going to be insane with this legit actual lightning storm sort of weather. This is going to be a very interesting Grand Prix. Monza, the place where you kind of carry the least downforce, we've got a full wet race. This is going to be a bit chaotic, I think.
It's time for the Italian Grand Prix once again, here at the beloved and iconic Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. With the lowest downforce and drag of any circuit in the season, expect to see drivers making the most of the slipstream effect here today. With the rain coming down here at the 3.6-mile Monza circuit, the low drag setups preferred by most teams could cause them some problems in today's Grand Prix. So watch out for cars struggling for grip around Parabolica, the last and most demanding of this track's 11 corners. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Why don't we discuss McLaren? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, the owner driver, Max Verstappen and Russell, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon and Gasly, Stroll, Eilert, and Guan Yu Zhou, and Nikita Mazepin, Latifi, Lundgaard, Giovinazzi and Nobuharu Matsushita. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Well, even before a single wheel has been turned for this Grand Prix, we've got some bad news. You would have seen there with the grid sequence. Mick Schumacher has got an engine penalty. So I did not take any engine penalties today, but Mick Schumacher has. And he has taken at least 2 lots there. They're 5 places each. And he's down to P11 from pole position. So the Ferrari man, Leclerc, he's on pole position. Lando is now on the first row of the grid alongside him. So that's a massive blow for us because we've seen how punchy his AI has been, how good he's been in a lead of a Grand Prix, and now he has an even better chance of taking the lead at some point because he's right alongside the man on pole position. We're right there, a row behind, so we have to aim for a really aggressive and hopefully stonking getaway on lap 1, the opening laps, to maybe go for a move, get an overtake, because basically we can't really afford to lose points to him now. We have to be trying to beat him. Obviously, I know he's in a good McLaren, so there's definitely maybe going to be a race or 2 here still left for the end of the season where he's going to beat us, or, you know, who knows? He could go on to beat us in all the races, but we've got to try. And this kind of race, you know, monsoon weather, literally monsoon weather, lightning indicated on the forecast there on the icon. Anything probably could and will happen, and we've got to take advantage of it. But it's going to be a very nerve-wracking race for everyone involved, really, because there is so much rain falling that we can't even see the camera properly as we go towards 5 red lights to a soaking Italian Grand Prix, and Leclerc off pole position is a bit slow. Our rival Lando Norris gets a good getaway. He may be into first place by turn 1. Russell is on our inside. He's overtaken us. We've lost a position down to P6. We're side by side with Verstappen in the Red Bull on the left-hand side up the road. Lando going around the outside. Is he into first place? He's battling Leclerc for the lead. Our worst nightmare is coming true. Lando Norris leads the Italian Grand Prix now ahead of Leclerc just about as it's a drag race to the next corner, and we're dragging past Carlos Sainz on the outside. So many sparks coming off the back of the Alpine, so the Alpine's running a very, very low ride height, but we make a crucial and desperate kind of move on Sainz, but in the end works out. He gets pinched into the inside, and we're up into P4 then, but Lando leads the race from Leclerc, Russell, myself, Schumacher up into P9, so making somewhat progress from that P11, that grid penalty, but Leclerc is right on the back of Lando Norris. That's the only good news. I need that Ferrari or even Russell to go and slow him down so we can try and catch up as there's a crash into turn 1, and Lance Stroll's got it all crossed up, and there's a huge pile up at turn 1, and it's only taken 2 laps, but I think the full core safety car is surely out as there are a number of DNFs. Oh my word, look at that. That jumped up by 2 more. We've got how many? We've got 6 DNFs into turn 1, all starting from Lance Stroll hitting the back of a car, and then it's, well, I'm sure there was a lack of visibility into turn 1, so cars were probably coming at turn 1 at the same rate of knots, not knowing that Stroll was parked up with a broken front wheel, and then just like in Baku, the pile-up has occurred there, and the full core safety car is out. We've only got 16 runners now in this Grand Prix. In my opinion, we should be red flagging this race. If this was real life, I think you'd look to red flag it because there's so much standing water, so much spray. Look at the carnage. Look at the devastation into turn 1. And, oh my, a very funny sight of the Haas wheel spinning its rear tyre whilst it's broken somehow. And Latifi somehow survived all of that, but 6 DNFs into turn 1. Oh, it's absolute chaos. If there was an actual red flag mechanic in the F1 game still, this race would be red flagged. But we are now going green, in fact, for lap number 5. We're P4, but we're on the back of George Russell, weaving the car around to try and get any sort of tyre temperature in the front tyres. But we can't make a move into turn 1, alas. We have to continue on. We're still on the back of Russell, though, practically pushing him through in towards Ascari, as Lando still comfortably leads then by just about half a second to Leclerc. Those two staying stationary right now, but we're looking to make a move. I'm feeling like Russell's a bit slow here in the Alpine. He had a great getaway, fair play, but he's in a slower car. We should be able to overtake him. We've set a purple second sector, green the first. He's sparking away, so I genuinely think that Alpine car car. It's very unusual seeing AI have this, but I think he's had the ride height too low, bottoming out a little bit as we now go for a drag race, and that's going to hurt him in a straight line if he's doing that, scraping across the ground, and we're down the inside. It's a little bit of a late brake zone. We're going to have to just about slow it down, but that actually helps us in a way to stop Russell going side by side with us. And ahead, the Ferrari I saw also sparking a little bit, so we may have a chance to try and close up. What I actually did was I raised the ride height, the front ride height especially, by 2 clicks into qualifying. And part firmware, of course, it's the same setup from quali to the race. So I went two clicks above for the front ride height, and I went for 3 clicks up from the usual front wing and rear wing that I usually run for the Italian Grand Prix in the dry. So I set the car up for this wet race. So I'm feeling good. I'm not going to lie. I've felt a lot worse in wet races. Right now, I'm actually feeling pretty okay, and it's due to those compromises we made on Saturday to allow us to have a good car for today. And with that good car underneath us, despite it being so treacherous, I'm feeling somewhat okay. It's still very tricky. Corner by corner, you have to take it now in these kind of conditions where there's so much standing water, so much spray, but we are the fastest man out here, and Lando is backing Leclerc into us. We're catching both of them. We've gotten rid of Russell. He's actually now fending off Verstappen, but so many sparks coming off. I don't even think it's the Ferrari. Maybe it's even Lando himself in the lead of the Grand Prix, bottoming out as well, like the Alpine did. So let's watch out for that. I'm kind of feeling the sense that the Ferrari is a bit vulnerable here as we go through the next right-hander. Lovely apex, a little bit of curb, not too much though to spin the front tyre off on the inside there, and we get a good launch, ERS usage, and we gain. We've got a good engine behind us versus the Ferrari, and we go for the dive on the outside of Scari. Easy does it. We give Leclerc room and a half really to work with the inside to make sure there's no contact made, but we get up into P2, and we can set our sights on the main man, the championship leader, our main rival, Lando Norris. This is what you want to see in Formula 1. Championship rivals battling it out tooth and nail for the race lead of Grand Prix. And this is even better because it's in the full wet conditions. Not in full wet, it's monsoon lightning conditions as we're now going for the move. The fast lap of the Grand Prix is ours again. And Lando comes back at us though into turn 1. Bit of contact made as we bang tyres once, bang tyres again as we both squirrel for grip as we try and find any sort of traction off the first 2 corners, and Leclerc is going to join this battle. Look at him go, and he's going to make contact with us. It's so close. We can't go to the right. We go to the left instead. 3 wide. We dive down the inside. We've locked it up, and Lando gets to switch back over the curbs. We're desperately trying to defend, but we take way too much of the inside of the right-hander, and he gets back up into the lead of this Grand Prix. But a titanic battle, and it boils over a little bit with a bit of contact made between ourselves and our championship rival. Lando's in. He's in for a pit stop. I wonder, has he got any damage? Maybe we've got simulation damage, remember, or maybe it's an early pit stop. It is lap 12. The pit stop window opens on the next lap, apparently, according to our engineer. So maybe it's an early undercut call, as the tyre wear will be an issue. We do have to make 1 stop today for a second set of full wets, and now Leclerc's overtaken me. He's re-overtaken us, and he's actually finding some good pace there. That's really unfortunate. He got a good run. Of course, I didn't have DRS off anyone. There's no DRS anyway in the full wet conditions, but Leclerc got a really good run off the final corner is what I'm trying to say, as we're tucked up behind and trying to get on the back of Lando Norris, and that hindered us quite a fair bit. And I'm thinking now, I think Lando's gone for, well, it's either damage, but I think it's also an early call for a pit stop, so we're going to come in this lap. Our engineer wants us to come in next lap, but what's the point if I'm held up and losing time battling the Ferrari on this next lap? I'm going to lose out to Lando like 100% by a large margin. At least a second or 2 I may lose by battling Leclerc. Instead, we're going to play this clever, cover him off like they do in real life. Cover off your championship rival, pit on the next lap, and then try and stick with him in cleaner air, maybe towards the back of this grid as everyone filters through, everyone opting not to come in yet. So me and Lando are the first 2 stoppers in this race, and I've got front wing damage. I don't know about Lando, whether he's had to change his front wing as well. I'm not too too sure, but it looks like I've got damage. It must have been from that contact at turn 1. The front right of the front wing must have just got nicked a little bit. It didn't come up with the heads-up display. It wasn't lime green, but it must have been enough. And there is Lando, and he's close to me, so that must mean he also changes front wing, because of course it takes a lot of time to change the front wing in the pit stop. So both myself and Lando are kind of out of the running at this moment in time for the race lead, maybe, because by the time Leclerc hits, if he's not got damage and no one else does, they'll gain those few extra seconds as we go and overtake the Alfa Romeo up into now P15, chasing after Lando once again. But we're here P14, 15, everyone else yet to pit. I think they're starting to pit right now on lap 13. Like I said, this is when the pit stop window opens, and it's going to close in a couple of laps, so we're going to see pit stops the next few laps. Let's see who's in. We've got the Mercedes, the other McLaren of Ricciardo, and hang on a minute, Ricciardo could do some blocking here for his teammate, but around the outside he easy does it, roll the car through, squirt the throttle on purpose to get across Ricciardo at turn 2 to make sure he can't block us off there. No funny business involved, and we're now into P12 and still looking on in the distance at that rear wing of the McLaren. But now we've got the next few guys in the pit stops. Let's see who's in. I think Schumacher's in, Leclerc is in as well. Ocon stays out actually, but where is Schumacher? And those guys going to filter out. Schumacher is now into turn 1, sub by sub with Lando Norris. Schumacher could do us a favour here. Please, Mick, please. No, he doesn't do anything for us. He hardly gets a chance to even, actually, to be honest, because Lando gets ahead of him, and so instead he makes our life easy and he lets us through very, very easily. And we're now still behind Lando then, and we can continue to pressurise and even go for a move. Hang on a minute, we lock up on the front left, but we've somehow done it. Lando was so slow. In these kind of conditions, you have to take it corner by corner, of course, and so maybe Lando just being a bit too cautious there, and kind of went defensive as well, because he pulled to the left-hand side to defend against me, and we just flew past him there, which well, kind of almost blind confidence, because I almost didn't make the corner, but we are flying now. Verstappen the purple, then we go purple on lap number 17, 10 laps to go, and we're looking to chase after George Russell now. We've gotten away from the McLaren, and he's being attacked by Mick Schumacher. This is brilliant news for us. This is going our way now, finally. Schumacher going for the move. He couldn't do anything to help us out on the previous occasion, but now he may be the biggest help to us. We've already got ahead of Lando Norris, but it would be amazing if Schumacher also overtook him, because that's one less position, less points for him, and more points for me. Schumacher can't quite do it on that previous lap, but on to lap number 18 then, towards Parabolica. Can he do it? Round the outside. It's a ballsy move in these kind of conditions, and he's going to actually commit to it, sparking away a little bit there, as his ride height must be a little bit low. A lot of these AI seem to be running very low ride heights today for some reason, but look at them go. A drag race again in towards turn 1. Lando defensive to the inside. Schumacher wiggling around. He goes out again to the outside, into the inside for turn 2. Is he going to get it? Yes, it looks like it, but Lando is going to get a good exit, and his nose is still there as they go through the next right-hander curve. But Schumacher just about slots in ahead and is up into P5. That is some fantastic bit of overtaking and driving from the German, and that is, what a teammate, what a teammate. He has helped us out massively there by overtaking Norris. And now this safety car, a second safety car is out as Alonso. He's out of the Grand Prix. He spun it into the wall at Sector 2. He announced his retirement this race weekend, and when it rains, it pours. It pours Italy, and it's pouring for Fernando Alonso. His 6th or 7th DNF this season. Can you blame him for wanting to hang up the race boots virtually here? But this is turning into a bloodbath, just like the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We've got 7 DNFs in this race, 7 laps to go, and it's still raining just as strong. And oh, is that smoke? Is that smoke off Russell? Russell's slow. Russell's slow. He's retiring. Russell's retiring out this Grand Prix with an engine failure. Oh, it was going so well for Russell. It could have been another podium for the Alpine man. So that's now 8 DNFs, 2 safety cars, and to be honest, there should have been a red flag, especially at the start of this Grand Prix, because the visibility is a little bit better. It's still raining just as hard, but I think we're slowly drying the track a little as well, as I can definitely see a little bit more ahead of me compared to the opening laps. But we're now up into P3 then, Schumacher P4, Norris in P5 then. Leclerc leads the way as we get underway. We nearly hit the back of Verstappen on the restart. The front tyres are a little bit cold though, as I'm trying to weave about, trying to get some temperature into them. We nearly hit the back of the Dutchman. Plenty of sparks flying off the back of the Ferrari. That is Verstappen defensive, and we hit the grass, and we have to catch the car into turn 1. Verstappen goes for a move on Leclerc, doesn't work out. We have to drift through turns 1 and 2. It's all kicking off, and it's still so treacherous, and that's a reminder of how treacherous it is. That could have been easily a spin and a crash into the wall of the left-hand side of turn 1 with Verstappen there, because I tapped the grass, and you just don't know how the tyre is going to react in that kind of situation, as we're now getting onto the back of the Red Bull once more onto lap 23. I can hardly see anything ahead of me apart from just a little red light on the back of his car as we look to overtake him. Going to try it again into turn 1. Verstappen goes defensive. We go to the outside, but again we've got it crossed up. We're on the grass and we're sliding across. Verstappen hops over the curb, and that's going to really hurt him. He may have floor damage now because he went over the sausage curb, and I know from Hungary and other places that is definitely on simulation damage, a recipe for disaster. And Verstappen now has not only lost out to me, he's lost out to Schumacher, and Lando Norris is trying to go around his outside there. It's Norris v Verstappen. He's been overtaken by the McLaren man, so Verstappen potentially now with floor damage. We're up into P2, but we have a lucky escape because we again could have been in the wall again as we dip the left tyre onto the grass. We're playing a very, very dangerous game with that first corner, but you've got to take risks in these kind of conditions, and that's what we're doing so well to gain the time. And Leclerc's made a mistake off the exit of this Scarry section. The rear end twitch for the Ferrari man, and now we're alongside him for the race lead. We squeeze him into Parabolica. Can we do what Schumacher did to Norris round the outside? We've done it, but we're slow as we try to get the car turned in because I went so deep into Parabolica to make the move that Leclerc is now coming back at me. We're going to try and cover him off, and look at Schumacher coming through at a rate of knots. We're blocking off Leclerc as we stick to the racing line, but that allows Schumacher to go into the inside. It's 3 abreast, and we nearly get pinched in. We had to back out of that. I was going to be pinched in from either side, Schumacher and Leclerc. And even though it's so entertaining to watch, that's so frustrating to watch because we go from the race lead then momentarily down to P3 now as Leclerc's re-overtaken us, and now Mick Schumacher. Hang on a minute, I haven't even really fully realised what's just happened here. Mick Schumacher is into the lead, and we're now here onto the last lap of the Grand Prix, and no one can catch him. 7/10 ahead of Leclerc. Mick Schumacher, he got pole position on Saturday, then went to the 11th place on the grid with a grid penalty, and has come back through in these kind of conditions. Of course he has. Of course he has. Schumachers are always good in the wet, and Mick Schumacher today has been good in the wet to win the Italian Grand Prix. What a race victory for Mick Schumacher. And for us, even though it's frustrating to move down to P3, it's still a decent result ahead of Lando Norris, ahead of that man pulling alongside me. But the driver of the day is Mick Schumacher. Pole, P11 to the win.
They made great use of the clear air today then and didn't allow anyone to exploit the slipstream behind them. What a great win here at Monza. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
It's a heroic effort for any driver to race in conditions like these, and seeing them fight their way to the front was very special indeed. They were able to find all the grip, all the good lines, and have the confidence to get on the power to top it all off. That's what pushed them into first place here today.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium.
It's his 3rd win of this season. That means it's 3 wins to myself, 3 to him, and 3 to Lando Norris. If he had started this season as quickly as he's driving now, obviously he had to get used to the car. If he had started that quickly, he could well be in the championship fight. But that's how it works in Formula 1. You have to adapt quickly if you're in a new team. It's difficult, and so only now is Mick finding his feet. But it's great to see. and what a drive. I mean, he deserved to be on pole. He got it taken away with the grid penalty, but just like his father, great in the wet conditions, P11 to P1. What a stonking drive. Helped out a little bit by that fight we had with Leclerc and that 3-wide moment. I think, you know, could I have stuck my foot in and try to keep P1? Maybe, but I'm trying to survive out here equally as also trying to get a position. There's no point in me breaking my front wheel or breaking my front wing on the second last lap trying to maintain the lead when I've got Lando 2 places behind me in P3 anyway. So I'd rather play the safer game, play it smart. That's what you got to do sometimes when you know, in a season-long battle like this. Fight your battles. You know, I had to take the risk assessment, basically, not go for the lunge and commit to that 3-wide move into turn 1. And it means in the end, still, we get a double podium for the team. The team still wins. Schumacher gets his 3rd win, and it means we maintain and actually grow our lead in the Constructors. And in the Drivers' Championship, we still bring down the lead by a decent margin, I would say. You know, only now 16 points compared to 21. That's a decent amount, I would say. That's a very, very decent amount. If we chip away like this by the end of the season, we'll be there. We'll still be well within the shout of the World Drivers' Championship. But we've got to continue this and continue this momentum now. But this was just such a hectic race. 8 DNFs, 2 safety cars. Should have been red flag, to be honest, at the start of the Grand Prix. Chaos at Monza. More rain this season. Surprise, surprise. Guys, if you did enjoy this one, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.